The Walden Galleria near the Canadian border in Buffalo, New York, feels different these days. Its atmosphere honestly changed from just a few years ago. Once bustling with Ontario license plates and the hum of cross-border excitement, its parking lots now have empty spaces, a stark contrast to tepid weekends of the past. The weekend buzz has faded, and the food court is quieter than ever, with only a handful of shoppers scattered among the empty tables. This scene repeats itself along the northern U.S. border. From the small crossings in Washington to the beset checkpoints in New York, painting a picture of change across hundreds of miles. The once reliable stream of Canadian shoppers has slowed to atropine, leaving behind quiet corridors, sand-shuttered storefronts, bridges like Oath Peace Bridge, which used to be jammed with cars and eager travelers, now see freer traffic, their lanes often empty, even during peak hours. American towns that thrived on Canadian shoppers now face economic challenges as local businesses struggle to adapt to these sudden drop in visitors. The empty nest tells a story of lost revenue and changing cross-border dynamics, with many shop owners left wondering if things will ever return to normal. For decades, Canadians crossed the border for cheaper goods, unique brands, and the thrill OFA day trip, forming a vital part of the local economy. Businesses catered to them, offering special deals, and even accepting Canadian currency. But today, that tradition feels distant, almost like a relic of another era. The familiar Canadian accents in stores are absent, leaving an economic void and a sense of loss among employees who answer lead on their regular. Customers roam across the border. This isn't a loud protest, it's a silent boycott, a collective decision, made quietly by thousands, each choosing to stay home for their own reasons. The reasons are complex. A mix of financial realities, changing exchange rates, new shopping habits, and shifting sentiments about cross-border travel. Empty parking space no symbolize a fundamental change in consumer behavior as people rethink where and how they spend their money. The silence speaks volumes about the new economic landscape at the border, echoing through empty malls and quiet streets. The once vibrant cross-border shopping culture is now a quiet memory replaced by uncertainty and nostalgia for busier times. The economic impact is profound, reshaping the relationship between neighbors and forcing communities to adapt to a new, quieter reality. At the border, the empty stores are backed by hard numbers showing economic downturns. Retail sales in U.S. border counties have sharply declined. In Whatcom County, Washington, sales from Canadian shoppers dropped by 40%. This translates to hundreds of millions in lost revenue. Tax revenue, crucial for municipalities, has taken a hit. Cities like Buffalo and Detroit report significant sales tax shortfalls. This affects funding for schools, roads, and public services. A popular outlet, Malin Plattsburgh, saw Canadian shoppers drop from 60% to 15%. The average spending per Canadian visitor has halved. Cross-border travel statistics show a 50% drop in same-day car trips. The absence of these shoppers is hurting communities. The economic foundation of U.S. border towns is cracking under this silent boycott. Why did Canadians stop coming? What changed so dramatically that the ones beside border crossings now sit nearly empty? A perfect storm of factors, both economic and political, made crossing the border far less appealing than before. Weaken out. Significantly against the US dollar, erasing the perceived bargains that once drew shoppers south. Suddenly, every purchase costs more, and the savings that is to justify the trip disappeared. New costs piled on, like increased bridge tolls and tariffs on certain goods, making the journey even more expensive and less attractive. Canadian authorities also began enforcing dices and goods brought back, adding both extra costs and hassle for returning shoppers. Meanwhile, rising U.S. fuel prices are data, major incentive for Canadians who once crossed the border just to fill up their tanks at a discount. The financial argument for cross-border shopping collapsed, leaving U.S. stores near the border struggling to attract Canadian customers. What was once a money-saving trip now often costs more than it saves, deterring budget-conscious consumers war-watching. Every dollar, convenience, and time also play a crucial role. Long customs, wait times, and unpredictably delays add to the frustration. A simple U.S. shopping trip now involves planning for customs. Waiting in lines and dealing with travel logistics, Canadians are left questioning if the effort, time, and money spent are truly worth it anymore. After all, similar products are now available at comparable prices much closer to home, making local shopping more attractive. It's practical calculation, factoring in all the new costs and inconveniences. It's at the heart of the decision to shop locally instead of crossing the border. That shift is reshaping consumer behavior and transforming the economic landscape of border towns as cross-border dynamics continue to evolve. As Canadians reconcile shopping habits, Canadian retailers seize the opportunity. Chains like Loblaws and Swaz, Promoted, price match guarantees. This addressed belief that US prices were lower. Canadian stores emphasize made-in-Canada products, tapping into national pride. Retailers launched patriotic campaigns celebrating Canadian innovation, modernized stores, expanded online platforms, and improved customer experience. Canadian malls, once struggling, are now seeing a resurgence. New domestic brands offer unique shopping experiences. The result is a retail renaissance in Canada. Money thought once flowed south now boosts the Canadian economy. Canadian companies report strong earnings and reinvest in expansion. They adapted quickly, transforming a potential threat into a victory. Shoppers have compelling reasons to stay, reshaping the retail landscape. The shift is a major domestic victory for Canadian retailers. To truly understand this dramatic shift in shopping habits, we need to listen closely to the voices of everyday shoppers. Their stories and experience reveal the real reasons behind their changes we're seeing across the country. Recent surveys reveal dramatic change in the Canadian consumer mindset, with more people rethinking where and how they spend their money. The data paints a clear picture of evolving priorities and new shopping patterns. 7 out of 10 Canadians who once regularly shopped in the U.S. now say they rarely, if ever, make the trip across the border for shopping. This is a significant drop from just a few years ago. The unfavorable exchange rate between the Canadian and U.S. dollars is that Parisian shoppers are staying home. For many, the cost difference simply isn't worth it anymore. Many Canadians now appreciate the convenience, quality, and freshness of shopping locally. They find that local stores offer excellent products and a more enjoyable experience. The hassle and long wait times at the border have become a major deterrent. For most, the inconvenience and stress of crossing simply aren't worth the potential savings. Surveys are also challenging the long-held belief that everything is cheaper in the U.S. In fact, many Canadians are surprised to learn that the price gap has narrowed for many everyday purchases. Shopping in Canada is now just as affordable, if not cheaper, than shopping in the U.S. The value found at home is changing minds. Shoppers are increasingly choosing local stores, enjoying the sense of community and personal connection that comes with supporting neighborhood businesses. Economic patriotism is on the rise, with more Canadians expressing pride in supporting local businesses and helping to strengthen the national economy. This growing sentiment was further amplified during recent trade disputes, which made many Canadians even more determined to shop at home. Many Canadians now feel better about shopping at home, knowing they're helping their neighbors and contributing to their own communities. The shift in shopping habits is not just a passing trend. New routines and loyalties have formed, and many say they plan to stick with them for the long term. As a result, U.S. retailers now face a monumental challenge in winning back Canadian consumers who have found new reasons to stay loyal to shopping at home. The absence of Canadian shoppers creates a painful ripple effect. Retail businesses are the immediate victims, with store closures rising. Small shops and large chains alike feel the pinch. Job losses follow, affecting cashiers, clerks, and managers. The unemployment rate in border counties ticks upward. Related industries like restaurants and hotels also suffer. Service economy and cross-border shopping is in jeopardy. Local governments face financial strain from lost sales tax revenue. They must make difficult choices affecting community services. The quality of life declines as a result of empty parking lots. Beyond economics, there's a moral impact on communities. Thriving commercial districts are sources offered, empty stores create. A sense of decline and pessimism. The silent boycott is a social and psychological blow to border communities. The shift isn't just economic, it's driven by national pride. Canadians are choosing to invest in their own country. This isn't about animosity towards the US, but affirming national identity. The pandemic highlighted the importance of local supply chains. Political rhetoric and trade disputes encourage local economic interests. Canadian media and politicians celebrate domestic success stories.